man, can we just get past this already? I was gonna move on, I really was, but this whole Furry Raiders thing is such a drama bomb that it just goes all out. It's like a plume, and we're still dealing with the fallout today. But today's story has nothing to do with the Furry Raiders, so I will try to avoid the topic as much as possible. It more has to do with how news media organizations reacted to it. So before we get started, I'm going to go over a really quick crash course of basically the three sort of furry news sort of, what I call super blogs, which kind of cover furry topics. Two of them are pretty known. They're pretty well. I don't think they're well known. They're known by people in the fandom. There's Dog Patch Press, which is led by Patch Pack Rat. There's Flayera.com, which I happen to be an editor on, as a full disclaimer, and that's run by Green Reaper. They're run by two different personalities. They cover an array of topics, which are they typically don't have overlap. But now there's kind of this third person who kind of got their skin in the game, which people are recently looking into, which is called the Furry Times. This video here is to kind of go over a little bit about, for people who are not familiar with the Furry Times, it's run by a person named Amar Wolf. They're they're sort of the Johnny-come-latelys, but they're trying to leave their own mark on the furry news side, which is fine. I think they're trying a little too hard to be unique, and we'll go over that later, but it is what it is. They call themselves the Furry Times. If they have the word Times in it, they are certainly looking to be considered a news organization. And to not be hypocritical, because Flayera is sort of a super blog in and of itself, where people write and people edit it and then people let it out. To say that Furry Times is less than us or anything like that would be facetious. But I will be today, long of the short, Furry Times is, if you want to talk and discuss furry news, I would not suggest doing any patronage with the Furry Times, because they commit censorship. Very, very, very hard censorship, while critiquing other furry news sites of committing censorship. That's a very big charge you're saying. That's a very, very big charge. Saying that those Furry Times people are people that, silence their critics and completely shut them down and don't want anything to do with it. That's a big claim. But I'm not a person who makes big claims like that without solid evidence to back it up. And today for you, I have that solid evidence. So my first thing when I say pause the video, I'm going to suggest that you go down and read Exhibit A in the description below, and that will bring you to a recent article done by the Furry Times. Now, they've taken sort of the position that Dogpatch Press and Flayera have been sort of anti-Furry Raider in their positions. So they want to be the voice of reason, as used by the words of the editor in a later article, and be on the position of the Furry Raiders, and be the website for sort of the people who are pro-Furry Raider and pro-free speech, and people who don't believe people should be censored simply because they wear a banner on their arm or anything like that. How dare they censor people? You can sort of see the hypocrisy here already, but I won't get into that right now. So I'm going to say, right now, hit pause, read Exhibit A. Welcome back. Interesting article, wasn't it? I have a lot of critiques about that article myself, and I had comments about that particular critiques. But if you notice something at the bottom, that comments are closed. Now, if you go to another article, Exhibit B in the description below, you're going to see that he says that it was hate speech was the reason that he closed the comment section. Is that the debate was getting way too heated. It was way too hot. It was way too hot. He had to shut it down. That was just the moral thing to do. To censor critics and stuff like that. That was the moral thing to do because it got too hot. It was too hot for the burn furs who are critiquing everyone else that they're being censored, right? All right, so when I say hit pause, go ahead and read Exhibit B if you wish to. All right, go ahead and hit pause, read Exhibit B. All right, so here we have it. Okay, this debate is very rough. It's very rancor. It's very tough. So maybe he did have a reason to warrant shutting down the comment sections, and my comments were just kind of the fallout of it. But here's the thing. I know why the comment section was shut down. It wasn't hate speech. It wasn't anything else. You know why this comment section was shut down? This guy talking to you on the camera. You know, a lot of people know me. I don't do hate speech. I really don't. I sometimes get pointed in my critiques, but I don't do hate speech, right? So what could I have possibly said to shut this comment section down? Well, it wasn't just what I said. It was the method in which I used. So a little backstory. In early May, probably about May 1st, I made a comment on the comment section. Now, the comment was held in need moderation mode, which, for those of you who don't know, need moderation mode is a WordPad thing where the people who owns the site in general can hold your comment in a sort of hiatus mode until they approve the comment to be shared to the general public. So when I made a comment on May the 1st, on May Day, I typed it up and, put it on there and just wait for moderation mode. Okay. I come to it about a few hours later and I noticed that hold in moderation comment is gone. It vanished. So I said, he's just censored me. This guy who has on the bottom of his article criticizing people about censorship just censored me. So I said, well, I can't let that stand. Because I'm the kind of person who believes in free speech. And practice what he preaches, son. So, what I did was I typed up the comment again from the best of my recollection. But while I was doing it, I was recording. If you're not watching this video, please come back to the window and click on this upper tab. You will be sent to an unlinked video on my channel of what I did on May the 2nd, with timestamps, with everything. And you will see, and I will read out to you the exact comment that I made and submitted, and you will see what I said. So go ahead and click, and you'll be right back. Welcome back. Well, that was certainly a trip, wasn't it? So let's say, so what happened then? Well, as I said, as soon as something happened, I was going to record it. I didn't have to wait long. On May the 3rd, the comment was gone. And then I took the next steps. The next steps, once again, here's the second video you can watch that I recorded on May the 3rd, and have at it. I'll be right here. Welcome back a second time. So how did the comment section get closed? Well, like good comedy and good irony, this thing comes in threes, because the third day was the final day. I thought it was going to go a little longer than this. I was going to see how long I could take this thing and milk it for all it's worth about a person who's on his soapbox preaching for free speech, and then in practice pissing all over it. All right. Here's number 3. May the 3rd, or May the 4th. May the 4th. May the 4th be with you. Welcome back again. Here's the thing. This video might seem petty. You might be saying, well, you're just offended because you got censored and stuff like that. This isn't about just me, right? When you come forth and you say you're a furry news organization, you represent more than just yourself and your opinions of the world. You have a responsibility to see the entire spectrum in all of its colors. Even Perri Rhodes was yelling at me. He's like, you're not seeing the full story. Here's the thing. I applaud that you allowed Perri to write an article for your news site. That's fine. In fact, They could have submitted it to Flera. Anyone can submit any article to Flera. Doesn't mean we're going to post it if we think that it is sort of like promotional or, but if it's an opinion about a topic at hand, now obviously if Perri wrote this article for Flera now, it's kind of past, it's like the whole fervor has kind of died down a bit. But guess what's going to happen now? I'm going to be making an article on Flera referencing those 3 videos and spelling out why the Furry Times doesn't represent free speech. Because you don't. Nothing. So here's the thing. The only argument you have left, Mr. Wolf, is that you could say, well, his comment was hate speech, and here is why. Good luck with that. Good luck explaining to people around the world that this armband being worn by a person that looks somewhat like a Nazi symbol, but it's not really a Nazi symbol, but they should be free to wear it, versus this comment here, which basically says, comparing to the Ranting Griffin getting removed from Anthrocon and comparing it to actual terrorism is kind of sensationalist. Kind of just a little out there. Kind of a little weird. It sucks, yeah. I kind of feel bad for Tu. Because here's the thing, and this is all set aside, I think Tu is a good guy. I really do. I think he's very passionate about his craft. He was taught a very old school way of comedy, which has kind of evolved out over time. Because comedy evolves, like everything else. Everything evolves, and you adapt to that evolution, or you kind of get left behind. And I think that, too, for all intents and purposes, not only did Anthrocon come down on him, at the same exact time, YouTube frickin' is coming down on people who make controversial content, such as the thing that Tu specializes in. So it really, really, really sucks. And I can agree that really, really, really sucks. Because, yes, we should curtail people from actually doing actual hate speech and actually trying to fervor up people in violence against one another. But at the same time, we're horrible judges at what actual hate speech is, apparently. And I guess that is the whole point at the end of the day. So I guess to them, I say, what was hate speech about what I said? And is anyone who is critical of the Furry Times going to be acted of committed hate speech? Because it's not just the Furry Raiders you're representing. If you're claiming that the reason we should support the Furry Raiders is because social justice warriors want to censor us to an extent in which we no longer have a voice, then you don't have much of a leg to stand on when you are censoring comments in your own blog, which is against censorship. You can't play both sides of the field. You can't do it. You cannot speak one way and act in another. These are not the Furry Times. That is not what a news organization does. It is not their job to push dialogue in the direction they want it to go and get afraid when people question what they think. It is to be proud when people question what they think. Because questioning is the essence of what a true journalist does. They ask questions. Questions like, what about my comments were hate speech? Why was that comment worth censoring thousands of other people who could have been supportive or not supportive of the particular article? Why is it in your best interest to close a comment section when those comments and people talking to one another is what's driving your view count on your blog? In that May the 4th article where you're saying that, oh, my blog numbers are going down. Well, guess why they're going down? Because you censored people. You literally took those people and you censored them. And questions like, I noticed that you have some furry artwork on your website, particularly from Art Decade. And did you get his permission to post that stuff? Because I've seen Art Decade's icon on Twitter, and holy cow, there's the symbol with the circle and the 3 down arrows. And for people who don't know what that is, That is the anti-fascist symbol. The very thing that Perri Rhodes is calling a communist thing that's a threat to our entire society. And the editor is coming out sort of on the side of this person. Probably out of convenience. And the reason I say it's probably out of convenience is because he tried to convince Fred Patten to abandon Flera and Dogpatch for his thing because of their political views. And Fred's like, bless his heart for being the most apolitical person I've ever known, goes, yeah, no, like, I have no interest in leaving those two organizations. Like, that's, I do furry reviews. Like, I do review of furry content. And I think that, and you know what? I think what Fred brings to the table is very important in a general sense. Because what furries are all about is the content in and of itself. It's about the artists, it's about the writers, it's about the passion they put into their projects, whether we politically agree or disagree with them. And so, you know, if the Furry Raiders want to keep their frickin' symbol, whatever. I made a suggestion to them so that if they don't want to be seen as a controversial group, this is how they can distance themselves from it. And the actions and the words that they take, that they can start moving from that controversy, moving away from it. It won't happen overnight, but it would be a step in the right direction. But now we're not going to talk about that right now because that's not what this is about. This is about censorship and journalism and what you want to be. If you want to be a blog and have complete control over what people are saying on your blog, have at it. But what you can't expect from me is to have us treat your site as if it's a news site and allow this kind of censorship. I look forward to any response you have in any sort of follow-up article or anything like that. But for now, I'm going to get the hop out of here. So what are your thoughts on this whole particular dialogue? What are your thoughts on censorship and how this whole thing plays out? Let me know. Kick a comment in the comment section. Kick that like, kick the subscribe. I'm going to get the hop out of here. Once again, thank you very much for watching. See you later.